Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wild Chats, your home for everything animals. I'm Ryan. That over there is Maria. Everybody, our question for today is: do you have a dog or seen a dog that's just kind of weird when it comes to water? They love it, they hate it, they won't go in it without a life vest. There's certain breeds I know that love water. There's other breeds not so much. Um, I just for some reason I always come across really funky stories, animals like specifically dogs and water. Sometimes they like their bowl a certain way, whether it's drinking water, being in water, hanging out in the rain. That lovely smell they always get once they're out in the water and then come back into the house.
Delightful.
Yes, yes. Also, one of the tricks for that is if you rub a little bit of coffee grounds in their fur after you wash them, it gives them a nice scent. It also makes their fur nice and fluffy, and it takes away a little of that dog odor when they come back inside. So,
So you
fun
want
little
to
hack.
lick him.
Yeah. I don't really lick coffee so much, but hey, that's like, I think you're supposed to like pour water over the grounds and then you pour that water into a cup and then that's how you're supposed to consume
But the dog
coffee.
is wet already, so you're diluting it.
Right. Okay. So clearly,
Sounds
if
so
Maria
horrible.
uses this hack, she's then going to recycle the coffee grounds or something, so she can.
Hey, coffee grounds are amazing for so many things,
Good point.
including neutralizing odors, like you're saying. But
Hmm.
like when you go to a store and you sniff the coffee to change your senses of smell. So when you sniff something else, then you're not overwhelmed. So it kind of
Oh yeah, I've
neutralizes the
seen
smell
that.
of.
Yeah, if you go to like tastings and stuff like that, they'll use coffee to kind of clear out your sinuses and clear things, so you get the like actual flavor for the next thing that you're tasting.
Yeah, and as we're talking about coffee, let me finish mine. Done.
So, do any dogs that you've had or seen or been around have any kind of water quirks outside of just Pepita or Sasha? Our dogs just seem to like not like to go into the water, which isn't necessarily a quirk. It's just a little bit of a no, thank
Life
you,
choices.
no, thank you. Have you come across other dogs that kind of have their own little?
So I have a friend who has a French bulldog,
Okay,
and that dog absolutely loves water. Like every time they open the back window, the dog wants to jump into
okay,
the pool. So the problem is many dogs are so muscular and their heads are so heavy that it's dangerous for them
okay,
because they can drown.
okay.
So you have to be careful. Well, they always put a life jacket now, so the dog knows. Like they're working with him to also be careful. Plus, keeping a dog in the water for too long can actually irritate their skins. Their eyes and ears are really sensitive. So you have to also be careful and kind of watch how long they stay in the water and make sure you rinse them off, whether it is with coffee or not. You have to rinse them off.
You're talking about pool water specifically or water in general?
Pool water specifically.
Okay, okay.
The
And the
chlorine
reason
really does affect them.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does it to humans too. Like my eyes just don't. I don't know. Like if you don't have a professional pool cleaner, I feel like somebody just grabs a gallon of the chlorine. Is just like, that seems about enough, but here's a half a gallon more, just in case, just in case.
And when you're getting the water, like let's bleach our clothing. Let's just
Just have to say that. Like my bathing suits are all white now, but hey, thanks for that. I feel clean and sanitized. Um,
the nice thing is when you get into a pool, and like I don't like getting into public pools because I need to smell the chlorine 5 blocks away if I'm getting into a public pool. So I want to
So
make
that's you
sure
then. You're the person that does like the gallon of chlorine plus an extra half a gallon for bonus just in case.
if it's a public school, if it's a pool that is only used by friends or your own personal pool, then if you have somebody or you check often, then you use the right amount. Really, the best pools will be saltwater pools.
Yeah. I
If you
don't
think
like I had a friend that had a really big saltwater pool in Vegas when I was there. I'm not a fan of saltwater pools. I don't like the way the water feels. It's just not refreshing. It feels a little heavy. I just didn't normally when I
ooh,
get into a pool, I'm like refreshed and I enjoy it. And there's like, and this was a really nice pool. There was waterfalls and all this fun stuff. But when I was in it, I don't know. There's something about salt water that feels, it doesn't feel refreshing to me.
okay.
I don't mind it, but when I hop into a pool when it's really hot outside, like I want to be refreshed.
You want to
Uh,
smell the chlorine, is what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
well, no, I don't even care about the chlorine. It's just water energizes me. I'm kind of a water person. So some people are mountain people, some people are like desert people. Everybody has their environment that kind of energizes them. For me, it's water and salt water. As much as I enjoy surfing and stuff like that and being in the ocean, it doesn't energize me the same. And clearly, this dog here, he's got the same philosophy I have because you just put him in a bucket of water and he's ready to go. That guy likes some water.
That is so adorable. That doggy happy.
I don't know about the bike in the background. The chain on that bike might need some lubrication and stuff because I
There's a
think
chain in the back. I thought it was part of the.
I saw a bike handle. I think is what that back there, right there.
Could be.
Is that the yeah? Which would mean that this poor dog's splashing all over that poor bike on top of it. So
Maybe the bike was dirty. They went bike riding and it needs to be
okay.
water. So they put the dog in the water first and
So I thought the dog was practicing to swim. You think he's just doing a car wash for the bike behind him?
Well, he's oxygenating the water like their own personal OxyClean, oxygenating the water, going for it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
See, but sometimes you got to practice. Like when you were a kid, did your parents like when did you learn how to swim or what was the learning to swim popularity and process in Colombia? Like there's no classes, they're just like baby, go.
I did go to classes. I just thought it was funny to do that, which is not the way to teach anyone to swim. But I remember going to swimming classes so that I could at least learn how to float and things like that. But when I learned to do the butterfly swim,
Mm-hmm.
I actually learned by observing. I remember watching my uncle do it, and and then watching the experts do the different swimming styles.
Yeah.
So I perfected it by watching people do it and then asking them if I was doing it right.
But your general swimming, like your mom like took you to a class and you're in a pool and you okay, all right.
Yeah, because also living in Colombia, you have lots of rivers and lots of pools everywhere. So you have to learn to swim at a very young age.
Well, I was just curious. The reason I asked is because there are so many pools and everybody's like fincas and vacation houses has pools. So I didn't know if there was actually like formal swimming classes or if like your parents just kind of put you in the pool and like in LA, like my mom took me to like formal like swimming classes. Like there's not a lot of people had pools in their backyards and stuff. So you'd have to go to like a common pool and they had classes. And it's funny that you said that because that's exactly what they did with me. And my mom freaked out. Like the dude took me and I was in a life vest and he just literally threw me in the pool. And my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "No, they're babies. They're naturally born to swim. Like their reflexes will take over." And she's like, "I don't care. You don't just throw my child into the pool."
It has a life vest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how.
Let's allow Darwinism. Darwinism will take care of it.
Oh, he's sinking. He'll be fine. He'll come back up. I'm sure he's fine.
It's been 5 minutes. It's okay. The gills will come out.
Yeah, have you ever wondered what was wrong with me? There you go.
But what was fun is we used to go a lot to farms, and many of the farm help or country houses, basically. When I say farms in Colombia, what I refer to is not a farm that necessarily produces or has cattle or harvests things, although that's also the case. It would be more like a country house, and there's usually a help there, or you hire somebody to take care of the house for the weekend so you don't have to cook and things like that. And one time, one of the people who was helping had a kid, and he didn't know how to swim.
Okay.
We're both about 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old. And I'm like, here, I'll help you. I'll teach you to swim. So I taught him how to swim in a pool that I could barely, and he learned how to swim.
Hey, Darwinism. If you can't stand, you better learn how to swim. So.
You have to learn to float for sure. Like that is just one of the most important things that people don't realize. You don't need to learn the strokes. You don't need to learn to be like a fish, but you have to learn the basics. And same thing with dogs. You have to, like Pepita, this is very unfortunate. She hates swimming. But when I moved to Florida, there was a pool nearby. and very easy access for her. And I always was concerned that she will fall into the water and not be able to know how to get out. So I put her in the water and kind of taught her where the exit was. So if for
Yeah.
any reason she ever fell, she knew how to get to the stairs.
Yeah. If you guys want to ever see Pepita's love for swimming, if you go over to Patreon in the free post section, I think it's the very first post we put up. It's Peeps in a pool swimming with her eyes wide open, like, what did you just do to me?
Yeah, she was petrified. It was very,
Yeah. You hate to
you
see
have
them
to
go
do
through
it.
it, but they need to know how to do it so you know that they're safe later. And
Exactly.
Colombian fincas and certain other places don't have like these baby guarded like gate pool fences and stuff because if you
Oh,
don't have kids, you probably haven't put in a security pool fence. Not every, I think Nevada is requiring them now, and so is California. There's like different states where if you have a pool, I think by law now you have to have a protective gate because they don't
are
know
you
who's going
serious?
to come visit your house. Um, Either it is or they were talking about doing it. I'm not sure on the level, but they were talking about actually requiring safety fences around pools.
I have mixed feelings about that because I also believe that you need to teach people what to do and not to do and not baby guard them a lot. But you're assuming it's a child uh, who developmentally it's easy to train, but there are other children who may have autism or a little bit of they're not completely there and you want to protect them, then I totally understand putting those type of gates because you just don't know. But
I think the
we were
argument,
like, "Oh, you learned to swim." Like you just
well, but it was a little bit like you were saying. There was like you knew the 8 year old at the vacation house that didn't know how to swim. Not every kid has the ability. Like, had my mom not taken me to classes when I was in LA, I would have never learned how to swim because there were no pools around. So had I gone to a
good
friend's house
point.
that happened to have a pool and no one ever taught me how to swim, so it's more of that situation where
That's
you
a
don't
good
know who's
point.
coming to your house or who's visiting. As far as mandating, that's a whole different conversation. I'm not going to get into, but it works for dogs and stuff too. Like we've seen, I saw a little like tool for pools. It's like a little animal ladder, so like frogs and stuff can get out of the water. So like people have created little safety things, but animals end up in the pool that aren't meant to be in the pool that end up
Yes.
dying. So if you have that protective gate, sometimes you're protecting animals, babies, kids. It's
No,
kind of a
you're
whole,
right. I mean, there is a lot of plethora of why that's important. I just think that sometimes we safeguard everything so much that it's like you need to learn to fall into the pool and figure it out. But again, you cannot expect that of a deer. You can expect that of a child and teach them how to do it because I remember as a kid, I would just go into the water alone and that was very dangerous, but I also knew to do it. So one
yeah,
time I was by myself in a pool and everybody was quiet. Nobody screamed, nobody said anything.
okay,
They waited for me to literally just finish swimming.
okay,
And then somebody picked me up and said, "You don't go swimming alone. You did
okay,
great, good job, but you don't go swimming alone."
yeah.
Anyway, but Pepita, you just don't know because also dogs, as they get older, they may lose balance. They may not know where exactly they fell if they're really blind. Like Pepita has cataracts
Yeah.
now, so I always keep an eye on her when she goes out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not everybody has the abilities that this next guy has because once you get the swimming down, then you get to have fun in the water. Because first you got to
Okay.
learn how to swim before you can actually really start enjoying yourself because you get the safety aspect out of the way. Or sometimes you just need a floaty. So it's either this is having fun or he's just got a support floaty. But this guy, he's good in the water. He's perfectly fine in the water. He's good. He almost looks bored. I don't know. I like how he sits up as he starts to get rolling too. It's awesome.
I always wonder if they do enjoy it.
I don't know. Let's look at his face. You tell me, guys. You chime in too out there in the audience. Does this dog enjoy this, or did he just kind of is he just getting put out as a showpiece? I I think he looks kind of happy. I mean, he's trying to keep his balance, so he's concentrating. But then he dips his head down there, so I think then I get worried. But then he picks himself back up.
I think it's the turning around that makes me wonder.
Well, I think he knows that his human's the one that pushed him into the wave. I mean, he clearly didn't paddle into that. So he's
Now that would
probably
be incredible.
so he's looking back for his human, going, "All right, you gonna come get me now, or where are you at, or what do I do now?" I mean, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever's next at that point. Also, the wave crested to re-break again, so he might be in that weird zone where waves are gonna start actually breaking at that
Good
spot
point.
because he rode the break and then it didn't barrel out. He just came off the top of
He
it.
didn't do this, huh? So he didn't.
Well,
He's
no, I mean,
learning.
a lot of times what you'll do for surfing is you'll get kind of a double wave that you can ride.
I
And
was
so if you ever
kidding. The
see
dog
surfers
can't
like,
do that.
I know, but if you ever see surfers like they pump their board, they're trying to keep their momentum to catch that next.
The second wave.
Basically, it's the same wave, but it kind of like because the waves coming back affect the waves
Yeah.
going in. And then I think what's the rule? A wave breaks in water that is half as deep as it is tall, and that's when the wave will break.
Oh,
But
interesting.
yeah, there is. There's like physics and stuff to actually
Okay.
where waves. That's why if you're on sandbars and stuff, and you'll see different breaks in different areas.
It's so
Uh,
amazing. But
yeah.
there's a story of this guy who has an alpaca,
Uh
and he
huh.
actually rides waves with the alpaca, and it's
This
just so funny.
I know, and I've seen the photo of it. And it's just because you don't realize how big alpacas are either until you're like, wow, that animal's head is about as tall as that guy is standing. I don't know how tall the guy is, but there are so many surfing. I've seen rats surfing with like little life vests on and stuff. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of surfing animals out there for sure.
And the thing also to think about is you can look at it both ways. You can say, depending on your philosophy, so I'm acknowledging them all, not agreeing necessarily, I'm acknowledging them all. You may
Okay.
have the people who are completely like you shouldn't have them do that, and the skin is intoxicating, and this is dangerous, mega no no. And then you have the other people who are like, nah, the dog is having too much fun, we'll rinse him off later. And it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting to see them both because if the animal is having fun and you rinse them off later, then the animal is actually enjoying. And wouldn't we want the animal to have fun?
Yeah,
I
and when
think
you
that would
get
be
to
the bigger question.
at least to this level, I assume the dog's having fun because I don't think you would have gotten this far. Because I mean, it doesn't
Good
look like
point.
oh that dog knows how to surf, but he does. I mean, if dogs don't like water, they freak out, or if they don't like
Yeah,
the
he
way
will
you
have
the
jumped
board,
off.
they
He
jump
will have
off.
jumped off.
Exactly. So for him to still be on and riding it, and you see him squat, and that's where I'm like, ooh, maybe he's scared, but then he picks his head up, so you can tell he's going with it. So
Yeah, I think that's where because at first I was like, oh, I'm not sure this dog is having a good time. But as soon as he picked himself up, he was almost like
mm-hmm.
he was actually in control of the situation because also to me the hardest part to watch is if it's an animal feels like he's trapped, but he could
Yeah,
have jumped out if he didn't want to,
yeah.
and he could have just stayed crouched, which will be a fear reaction, but he stood up, which means like he's got it, he knows what he's doing.
Well, it's also depending on, I mean, if he's been riding waves a ton, that crouch is the equivalent of a surfer pumping the board. If you crouch, you get lower. He might have been trying to actually catch the second momentum of the wave, which is what I initially thought he was doing, but that's because I have experience in that environment where you kind of get lower to get more speed to where hopefully you can stay on the face of the wave opposed to popping off the back of it because you don't have enough speed to stay on.
That is
That's
so
how
cool.
I took it. So we've seen like movies and stuff where the kids kind of pop the fire hydrant open and they like it's some sweltering summer day and then they all kind of run around and play in the water of the fire hydrant. You've seen it's kind of a classic movie
Movie thing, yeah.
scene. And then we know in rural areas they don't necessarily have fire hydrants as frequently, or if you're on the side of a highway where there's no houses, they're not really required. So they have those water trucks. I know they're pretty big in Colombia also. They have the water trucks that go around in the neighborhoods if they have to shut the water off for any reason, and they give all the people water that need it. I don't know where this truck came from, but this dog decided to follow it, and they decided to just make a day out of it. I don't know if he's trying to play in the water or drink it, but
That dog is having a blast. They're watering those trees, trying to see the plate, trying to see if I
oh,
see.
Yeah,
Oh, how adorable.
I don't know if maybe they were trying to water like the plants and trees in the middle, or somebody was just like, no, the dog will love it. Turn the hose on.
No, I think they're trying to water the plant in the middle, the planters. Just because, and I was trying to look if I recognize the plate or the words, but the only part I can read is Reynoso. That doesn't tell me anything. La something, la legua.
But the dog is just like, hey guys, perfect. Well, you guys are gonna water the grass anyway. I'm just gonna go over here to enjoy it. Also, I'll be right over here. I'm over here.
That's actually, to me, that glee and that joy is what
Mm-hmm.
makes it worth it. The guy
Yeah.
is working, it's not affecting what he's doing, but why not have fun with it as well? And the dog just having a blast. It just, I love those toys of they attach it to a hose and the dog has to push it so the water's,
Uh-huh.
and then you see the two dogs like waiting to catch the thing
Uh-huh.
because it's just boop, like a little drop. It's not like a stream, it just boop, like a little drop
Right.
and they try to catch it.
I was
It's so
literally watching it
adorable.
yesterday, and it was two German shepherds, and they were doing. It's just so funny to me that they try to drink it. Like I would like, oh, you hit it and then maybe just enjoy the cool water hitting you. But a dog's response when it sees water is to try to drink it. So like the shepherd would hit it and then like turn his head up to try to like drink the water as it's coming down.
Or maybe
Basically,
bite it.
yeah. Or it could be, yeah. You're right because he's kind of. But so he tries to get it on the way up, but then it like hits him in the face with all the pressure. So then he tries to step back and then hit it and get out of the way, and then like turn his head up and try to catch it like as it's coming down. And then his buddy comes over, and you can tell he's kind of like, oh, cool, maybe this guy will hit it. And then I don't have to worry about like the coordination of like getting out of the way and then trying to catch it. But then the other dog's just kind of looking at him like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, man? You kind of looking funny, dude. I'm going to go do something else. He just like his disappointment of like, oh man, I thought I had another angle here. I thought you were going to help me out.
Like, this is ridiculous. You're not helping at all.
Yes, basically. I'm like, I thought we were a team. What happened here?
I just love when you see dogs and you turn the sprinklers on, like the ones that are like a fan, and they just
Uh-huh.
go chase it. And it's just, and you even see deer doing it. It's not just dogs, but you see a lot of animals doing it, especially if it's a hot summer day, early in the morning. You don't water grass in the middle of the day. Most of the water evaporates. You kill the grass, waste it. So early in the morning, but it's kind of nice to see, the animals just enjoying the water and just being themselves.
Do you know why it kills the grass if you do it in the middle of the day?
The heat will give them a shock, is what I know. They call it, in Colombia, they said that the plants get a fever. They
Okay.
call it, they get fever.
Now in the Colombia around the equator, I can see that maybe being the case, but in like Vegas and places where you get really intense sun, it's literally the magnifying glass effect. The sun hits the water, refracts, and it just literally burns the water. I mean, the water when it refracts
Yeah,
burns
yeah,
the
yeah.
grass underneath it. So it's actually you're literally amplifying the sun's rays on the grass through the water beads that are sitting on it, and that's another
Oh,
big part of what actually kills the grass. It's like the magnifying glass with the
because in Colombia they call it, when a plant is hot and you add colder water, they said that you basically cause fever. Like, the shock of the temperature could damage the plant. And I don't know
yeah.
how true this is or not.
I mean that makes sense. Anytime you get like a shocking environmental change, that would make sense. So if we have any big horticulturalists in the
Anemones.
yes, the anemones. You guys go ahead and please chime in because that would be really interesting to know as far as what are the effects of why. I know you're not supposed to do it in the middle of the day, and I know it's because it's hotter. There's more evaporation. It wastes more water. So from a water conservation point, it totally makes sense. You wouldn't want to be in the middle of the day. Um, but they always say at the beginning or the end of the day. But at 5 o'clock, it's not as sunny, but it is almost as hot as
It's
it is at
hot.
2 or 3. It hasn't cooled off that much, but the sun at that point has come down. So that was the logic that either I read or was told to me. So I would love to know if somebody knows, or we can have a fun debate about it. Why is it that you're not supposed to water your grass in the middle of the day? Is it sunlight refraction?
And also
Um,
at night, it
yes.
it creates mold. Too much water, there is no evaporation, there is no So it actually will sit and cause, that's what they say, cause mold.
Maybe in Florida because you guys have such a high humidity. But I
Okay.
know in Vegas or California, that's not really a thing because the water can still evaporate into the air. Once you hit like water evaporates into the air unless humidity's high, because then the air
Yeah.
can't hold any more water. So
Yeah.
in
Good
Florida,
point.
that might be an issue. I've never really lived anywhere, fortunately for me, where I have had to. I just remember taking showers in Florida, and then I get out, and I'm like, why did I even bother taking a shower? What was the point? I am equally as sweaty now as when I hopped in the shower.
Summers in Florida, and
Yeah,
that's when people come. And honestly, the best times are December, and that's where the snowbirds come. Where
yeah.
December to April, where
So
it's cold, but it could get really cold. There's certain areas. The further north you go, the colder it's going to
yeah,
get.
yeah.
But it gets cold. Like you have to wear a jacket.
But in the middle of summer, sometimes you just want to sit in a pool. See, in LA, we didn't, like I said, there wasn't a lot of backyard pools. So you get like the above ground pools, or sometimes you just get the little plastic kiddie pools because that's all you could get your hands on for whatever reason. And sometimes you just want to sit in the pool and relax with your friends, just enjoy the day,
Oh,
just chill in the water and cool off.
they're having a blast. Those ducklings are having a blast.
Oh, I
How adorable is that?
I get to like it looks like he's trying to lick them and clean them, but then they're wet, and then I think he's just curious. It doesn't look like this is a normal experience for him.
No, but
He's
he seems very kind about it.
yeah, but it's not
He
like
seems
these are like
very
the
kind.
local. I mean, they're ducklings, so they're clearly new. So even if this is like the house ducklings, maybe it's just because they're young that this is a rare experience for him. But
What I love about it is that the dog is being gentle and the ducklings are not scared.
yeah, I like the one, even though there's barely any water in the pool, like he somehow still manages to do the little like duck dive under the water. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
don't know how they pulled that off, but he still managed to do like his little duck thing.
Yeah, there was I don't
Right
that
there.
one.
Right there.
But they don't need that much more.
I didn't realize that. I always thought when they did that, they were diving deep to kind of come up and then turn around, but that water is like 5 inches deep, and he managed to kind of get in, turn around, come up,
That's pretty adorable.
do his whole duck thing. Um,
It's just so cute to see that animal interaction and how they're having a good time. The dogs are safe. If they wanted to get off, they could climb on him or whatever. They were
mhm,
happy. I used to
mhm.
have this was a pretty bad idea, but my mom got me two ducks.
Two ducks.
Yes, and they were baby ducklings like that, and they will follow me around the house, and I had to keep them in my off my bedroom. There was a little terrace, just like a
Okay.
little balcony, but it was really high walls because we were in a very very high uh sky rise building, so it was not balcony.
Gotcha.
Anyway, the ducklings will be there, and I'm like, oh, they need water, so I got a bucket and I put them in there, but they didn't know how to get out. So they
Oh.
fell asleep in the water with their heads. Like, I
Aww.
felt so bad. They were fine. They had
Yeah.
a place to rest their heads, but I felt so bad because I thought, oh, I'll be back in 20 minutes. They'll
Yeah.
be happy that they went swimming. Yeah, I felt really
I
bad.
well, it's you had the best intentions. I remember I came home. I don't know how old I was. I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And in school, we were learning about the seasons and how different trees and stuff lose their leaves, and we had an apple tree in our backyard. And I decided that I was going to be kind and I was going to help the tree get. I probably I had to, 8 would have been max. I don't think I would have been this like naive and slash adorable all at the same time if I was like 10 or 11. But so I decided to climb the tree and help it get an advanced start on the season, and I picked all of the leaves off of the entire apple tree.
Did he die after that?
No, no, it was all right. It was all right because we would pick the apples and my grandma would make pies and stuff out of them, which was really cool.
Oh,
Um,
that's so
but
awesome.
yeah, so sometimes as children we have the best intentions. We just don't fully understand the situations, and
There are too
uh,
many variables in life. And same thing when you're taking care of an animal, and that's why it's so important that the adult wants to own the pet and the child, if he takes care of it or not. You almost you almost are grateful that the child wants to take care of the dog or the cat. But it's just so hard as a child because there's so many variables and so many things that you don't understand because you were only told A, not if A then B then C does not apply, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You only know A and B and C, but that's it.
Yeah. So to clarify, Maria is actually kind of winding back to a conversation we had in a previous podcast where we were talking about getting an animal when you have kids. That the best way to approach that situation isn't actually to get you don't get puppies for your kids. You get dogs or pets because you want them. And if your kids happen to play with them, that's fine. But that tends to be the healthiest environment in a house. That way, you don't feel like you're stuck taking care of the dog that you got for your kid, or you're too busy and then the kid doesn't have time. So if you get pets for yourself and you also happen to have kids who enjoy the pets, that tends to be the healthiest, best setup for getting animals. So that's what Maria was referencing. It was a little scattered.
Meandering.
Like, I knew what you were saying, and you're like, well, you hope that the kid takes care of the animal, and I'm like, okay, I can see how people might be taking this the wrong way. Like,
Thank
yeah,
you. I appreciate that.
I hope the kid takes care of it, and the animal doesn't make so,
Ah, no, by no means. No.
yes, yeah. And everybody that knows you knows that that's in no way what you meant. But just also to harken back, because I always thought that was a good point. You had mentioned that to me, and that's something that stuck with me. That if that's the philosophy, you're getting a dog because you want a dog, not you're getting a puppy for your kid.
Yeah,
Things tend
because
to
you're gonna be upset. You're gonna be upset if the kid doesn't take care of the animal, and then you feel overwhelmed. And that's when you form a family like that with understanding of who's gonna take care of what or who's doing, basically makes life better. So knowing that you are the one as a parent who wants the animal and is gonna be good company for the child, then perfect. Then we
well,
have
it's
a good
also kids'
mixture.
interests and stuff change so frequently, and their lives change so quickly that I get the argument of, well, I want to teach them responsibility, but it's like, okay, well, that's great at 7, but at 10 they've got, once you enter junior high, and then all of a sudden there's girls or boys, and you're paying attention to this, and then you got sports in high school, and I mean, an animal is a long time thing for the most part, depending on what you get. So I'm trying to teach them a responsibility thing. I just never really, I'm like, I don't, that might be a byproduct that happens to happen, but there's probably better ways to teach your kids about responsibilities than
Yeah,
to
and
go
I
give
think
them a puppy.
if you're gonna get a pet, what I've heard most of my friends who have children is they try to get them when they're younger, when the child is younger, so they can grow together,
Okay.
and then that responsibility comes from love, not from I have to.
Yeah, because I think when you get dogs when you're like 8 or 9 and you're like, oh, I want a puppy, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I wanted a transformer too, and then after 3 weeks, the transformer ended up in a box somewhere and never got played with again. I mean, that's just the nature of childhood. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, dogs can get kind of thrown into, or any pets can kind of be like, oh, I want it, I want it, I want it. Oh, there's this other interest thing that I have now.
And
Uh,
sometimes the wanting is more exciting than once you get it.
that's a good
The
point.
idea of it.
Yeah, yeah. There's some of the gifts that I wanted the most. I think about, and I'm like, I never rode that bike that much, or I
No,
never played with this thing because then all of a sudden I got into skateboards, and then bikes were the last form of transportation I wanted because, yes,
it's
yes.
like when I have people, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine and she's like, oh my gosh, I always wanted to move to a place that had a beach nearby. And she moved from Oklahoma to Florida. And she's like, and I haven't gone to the beach in 3 months.
See, as humans, we have this interesting thing where it's like, I want the option of X, but it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to take advantage of said option. I just want the option.
It's very cat like behavior.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we work so hard for things too that sometimes it's like, oh, if success equals this, and then you get that, and you're like, maybe I don't know. Have you ever watched the movie Singing in the Rain, like the old musical with all the dancing?
Singing in the rain.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Have you seen the movie? Okay, okay. I don't know if this dog missed out on the casting or not, but this probably, if this was how he went and did his audition for that movie, it's probably he didn't get it. He's having fun in the rain, but he's not really singing or dancing. He's more just rolling and chasing in the rain.
Rolling in the rain. That's roll.
He's definitely having a good time.
But there is no rain. There's just water.
I think it is raining if you look. I know there's water flowing down, but if you look at the sidewalks and stuff, they're
Good
all
point.
wet. So that's not
Good
just
point.
coming down. Plus,
It
it's
could
in
be
the
there was just a flood.
yeah, it's in the middle of the road also. So I like usually it's not just like heavy gutter flow. I'm thinking there's definitely some rain there.
That is so adorable. And again, just because there is a flood, it could also mean that the water is coming from the mountain or further up. And that's what's so dangerous about different places like Texas. They have flash floods.
Yeah.
So it may not be raining there, but it just flash floods.
It's everywhere though. Vegas is like that too. The ground just isn't set up to hold that much water. So once you get like the monsoon seasons, a lot of times peter out in Arizona. Like monsoon season is gorgeous in Arizona. Like the skies and the colors and everything are amazing. And then you get all that rain, and that's a very desert way of like the rain cycle. But it seems like it always kind of die out when we get to Vegas. So even Arizona can absorb more water than Vegas, and they had some big floods not too long ago.
I was
And
just going to mention that.
that's why they started raising up all the casinos because like the old MGM got flooded where like you would step down into the casino floors, but then they realized wait we got to raise it up before you step down. So the water. So that's why if you go to Vegas these days, you'll notice that a lot of times you're on some kind of ramp or stairs or escalator to get up to the entry, and then you almost immediately step down, even if it's just 4 or 5 steps into the casino floor.
Oh, they had to raise the walls almost.
So the
Yeah, because
entry,
remember,
and then it protects everything.
remember the sorry, I kind of cut you off right at the end. Remember we talked about you and I not on the video on any video, but about the mole people, the people who live in the
The sewers
tunnels
and stuff.
in
Yeah.
well, they actually had to evacuate because there was so much water recently.
Mm-hmm.
They had to evacuate all those cities, underground cities.
Yeah.
Hundreds
Yeah.
and hundreds of people live under there.
Mm-hmm. But then that amount of water doesn't have anywhere to go, and then it usually doesn't. I mean, plus it's a one-time shot, so it's not like Lake Mead is getting recharged, and so you still there's so many animal issues around Lake Mead of just now there's mud puddles where there used to be water, and we'll see it in a future video. I have a one of a bighorn sheep that got stuck around the lake because with the environment changing that fast, or it looks like crusty dry on top, but then there's actually mud underneath it and stuff. So it's you're just changing environments just so massively for the animals of that region that it's pretty it takes some getting used to. And then you also think that, oh well, we just got all this rain, it should be fine. It's like no, like one downpour of rain that floods 18 casinos because there's like 4 feet high of water. Not that this happened, but it still would do absolutely nothing to Lake Mead. It would add like an eighth of an inch to the lake, probably.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate when you talk about managing water and water resources and how Lake Okeechobee in Florida is really what nourishes basically everything south of Lake Okeechobee. Everything is nourished by that, the Everglades and where people drink their water.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we're having an influx of people moving to Florida. And it's kind of scary because, yeah, we get a lot of rain in the summer and you actually hope we get rain.
Yeah.
But you just don't know if you're going to have a flood season. And then we had a really dry winter, but a
Mm-hmm.
really extremely wet summer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And speaking of that, I was watching a video about Sumatra in
okay.
Indonesia. And they're talking about how animals adapt to their environment and why elephants in Sumatra are so important.
Okay.
They actually open the dense jungle as they go through. They open the dense jungle, but also the frogs wait for the elephants to basically step on puddles
Okay.
so that they can make a hole and water can fill in because the frogs need, standstill water for
Okay.
for their froglets to be
Interesting.
in.
And
Mhm.
then you just pray that the elephant doesn't take the same path back and okay.
That's actually what they were saying. It's
Yeah.
like they're like, yeah, it sounds great and all, but if an elephant passes by, it probably will pass again.
Yeah.
So what the frogs had to do is they actually had to the metamorphosis was faster. Like they actually sped up
Oh,
their
okay.
metamorphosis because they just
Okay.
didn't know.
Gotcha. Interesting. But
Mhm.
isn't that Sumatra is the other half of the Java Islands, right? Isn't that the mini elephants? Because I know the
It's in
Javanese elephant.
Indonesia. They're
Okay.
not the micro. They do have the baby rhino, like the miniature rhinos,
They have baby elephants too, because the Javanese elephants are like the
but
essentially
it's that's a different island.
they're not the pygmy elephants, but okay. I thought Java and Sumatra. Okay, so they're a separate island. I thought it was like a Dominican Republic, like where you split the island, but it's two countries. Because
Haiti
I
and Dominican, yeah.
yeah, I know in Malaysia it does that because Borneo is part of Indonesia, but it's also part of another country also. Like the island is actually split as far as who owns it.
Isn't that
Uh,
amazing?
I would have to fact check that one, but I'm pretty sure about that one. Um, so do you know what it looks like when you mix a dog that loves water with a ball, and
Very
then
bouncy.
and then you throw in a bunch of extra dogs and a bunch of extra balls. Basically,
Mayhem.
yes,
Mayhem.
yes.
Look at the guy in the middle, like he's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Mayhem yet pure joy all at the same
Look at
time.
it. That brown dog is walking towards like, are you gonna toss me the ball? Like what's going on there?
Yeah, you can tell he's not a pro water dog. So we are talking about at the beginning of the show. You get pro water dogs and anti water dogs,
No,
and
but he's there. He's just minding, slowly, but he's like eyeing whomever is recording or um
he's trying to get down to get to a tennis ball. He's like, is this gonna come to me? I don't really want to go in the water with everybody else. Is this? Hold on, I'm gonna pace a few times here. I'm gonna check this out. Is it? How do I need this ball? Someone, I need to help me out. Help a brother
I'm
out.
not getting my ears wet. I am not getting my ears wet.
Yeah. Do you have like a hair tie or something I can put my ears up? I'm trying not to get my ears wet here. I appreciate it.
Or earplugs. Something. That dog is requesting something. That is pretty adorable.
I thought it was too. Just that
It is
concept.
very cute.
I was trying to figure out the pool though. It almost looks like a temporary pool because it looks like that liner. Let's see. How do we get it back?
No, it's
Is that
not.
is that a permanent pool?
It looks like a permanent pool. Look at it. It has a filter.
And it looks like the sides kind of bent in a little bit, so it makes me think like it's one of those thick plastic liners for like an indoor pool.
No. I think that's actually part of the cement sticking inward.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, it has stairs.
Which would make much more sense because dog claws and plastic would just be a horrible, horrible combination. So,
It
uh,
would be a very horrible, yeah, it would, unless they line the pool to change it often and wash it.
so I just so you guys know, like we have our camera set up so we can kind of look at each other, but they're also kind of in the middle of our screen. I didn't even notice the big brown dog that's just staring at the camera because he was blocked by my camera.
That's the one I've been telling you about, that he's standing right there, like looking at people.
There was another brown dog that was grabbing a ball and like shaking his head at the time that you said it, so I thought you were talking about that brown dog.
The one that is short hair that looks like a
I couldn't see him because my camera is literally right there.
I actually move my screen, my window,
Okay.
so when I'm watching a video, so I don't do this. So if you guys see me
Yeah,
doing
you guys ever
this,
see us doing that? That's exactly what Maria did it earlier with the water truck. She was trying to see the dog because the dog was exactly where our camera was. So when she was doing this, she was looking to actually see the main principle of the video. She could not see it.
so what I've been trying to do is move the whole window to
Gotcha.
one side because my camera is smack middle of my screen.
Gotcha.
So
Because you guys, basically what would happen if we could see the videos and everything, this is what our videos would look like as we were talking to you guys. So we would be watching the videos and enjoying it, and you would get a nice profile of us because we didn't have the camera in the middle to be able to. So unfortunately, sometimes we don't actually get to see little bits of the frame because
But that was so funny. Like I'm talking about that particular. It looks like a Weimaraner. It's not a
it
Weimaraner,
it does
but it
look like,
looks
yeah.
like it,
Mm-hmm.
like a
I had
hunting dog.
no idea he was there. It was like it was just the perfect lineup of like the post of my camera covered his body, and then my camera was right at his face line, so
No,
I couldn't see him at all.
that's
I
hilarious.
mean, I could
I'm
see a
like
little bit of his
the
face.
dog standing there. You're like, yeah, yeah, trying to catch the dog, and blah blah blah. That was awesome. That was
Sneak
yay
peek behind
reality TV or live
yes,
TV.
yes, sneak peek behind the scenes for everybody. See, so sometimes dogs love water so much they just go a little bit water crazy. Have you ever seen this?
Stir crazy.
Yeah, well, it kind of does. It looks like a kid that's just been like grounded for like a week and hasn't been allowed to go outside, and then it's like a perfect pool day, and then they open the sliding glass door, and the kid just goes nuts. Like
Berserk.
dogs,
Okay.
dogs kind of had this experience also, when it's just like they see some water, and they're gonna go for it.
Oh, he went for it really weird. That
Like
was weird how he just kind of like fell, but he didn't fall. I didn't get that situation there.
he was trying to jump, and there was that green algae. I think he thought it was solid ground still. So he was about to prepare to land and then leap, but instead his feet gave out because it wasn't solid.
Rewind a little bit. Ah, sorry
This is
guys.
almost at the
There,
beginning.
there. Yep, you're right. He thought that was
He thought he had a
solid.
little more ground before he could jump, and then basically he just fell in.
I love how the owner had to go all the way to just drag it out.
I love how he was so excited he didn't even think ahead of like how am I gonna get out if I opt to jump in. He was
Ah,
just
the owner is there. That's what owners are for.
yeah. But that survival instinct, usually that's why a lot of dogs are hesitant around water. How do I get in? How do I get out? Like you said, you had to show Pepita where the stairs were. That's why if you ever see hesitant dogs, usually that's a big part of why they don't want to jump in. They're smart enough to realize if I jump in, I can't climb out the way I'm jumping in. I mean, I've seen some pretty built dogs, but they're doing pull-ups is not really part of their regiment for training. You've seen like those dogs where like their backs and stuff are just pure muscle, and you're like, good God, man.
Like if you touch him, you're actually touching like a rock, not a soft skin, but like rock.
Yeah. You're like, how lazy am I, man? That dog had time to get ripped. I can't even get to the gym once a month. I mean, what the heck?
Who's
How
taking
did
that
you
dog for a walk, man? That owner must be ripped too. That's awesome.
Oh, you have any fun? Let's see. I want to just come up with a fun question for Mar. I started enjoying doing these now, so now I'm just gonna start throwing them into some of the episodes. We have fun with kind of the random questions on occasion, but then we get the specific animal like quizzes and stuff in the animal facts video, guys. You probably enjoy that stuff. Let's see. Ooh, okay. We're gonna go with if you could talk like Dr. Doolittle style to animals either on air, land, or sea. But if you pick land, you can't talk to dogs or cats because that just becomes the obvious answer. So if you could Dr. Doolittle it with animals of the air, land, or sea, what would you pick? This is for everybody out there also, not just Maria. This is like an everybody question.
I think it also depends on who or where you're at. Like
Okay.
if I'm in the ocean and I'm gonna be swimming, then I know I would like to communicate with a dolphin. But if I am in dry land in Florida or certain areas, then it would be really cool to communicate with a crocodile or an alligator.
Ooh, so that makes the question even better. If you can talk to animals of the water, could you talk to a crocodile or alligator?
Why wouldn't I? I mean, it's not like I'm saying blah blah blah. It's more of
No,
a
but what
telepathic.
category would they go into? Would a crocodile or alligator be a land animal or a water animal? There you
They'll
can
be
play
a land animal. I mean,
you
they
can pick
go in water, but they are a land animal. They just
okay.
had adapted. They need to breathe. So it's not like they can hold their. It's not, It's like a hippopotamus. Hippopotamus stay in the water for a very long time. They can hold their breath for a long time, but still they have to breathe.
Yeah, but then that would say that if you picked water animals, you couldn't talk to dolphins because dolphins need to breathe also. They're mammals.
Also,
Also, yeah. I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but somewhere.
but in that case, they live in water.
See,
The
this is
others
the
can walk out and be fine out, but I know
that's
if
the
you take a manatee or an orca or a dolphin out of the water, or even a whale out of the water, they can still breathe, but they need their skin is too gentle. They cannot stay out of the water. They need the water. But a crocodile or an hippo, no.
okay.
So
Okay.
that would be my distinction. And
So
also
there's your
location.
parameters. That's always part of the fun of these like hypothetical questions is what are the parameters of okay. Um so you're saying I'm picking based on where I'm at, but you know where you're at now, so what are you picking?
I only can pick one. I can
Yes,
only pick
that's
one.
the whole fun of the hypothetical like make a choice question.
Then I would like to speak to the hawks that are around.
So you're picking air animals. Okay. Okay.
Because some of the air animals can also submerge in the water if they want to.
So you're gonna have them like convey messages for you. It's like, hey, hey, bird up there, can you dive down and tell Flipper to like stop tickling my feet while I'm swimming? I appreciate that. I don't that I'm done with that. I don't want to translate for me. Appreciate it. So you're going that route?
Let's do it. Why not? This is hypothetical. Let me jump through a hole.
So here's a fun kind of spin-off question for everybody then. If you could talk to all animals, which animal do you think would be the rudest in the animal kingdom?
If I could talk to any animal, which one would be a horse?
You think a horse would be the rudest animal in the animal kingdom?
I'm gonna go with that.
Really? I have to hear the logic behind it. They don't seem to me. You think they're just like are they like snooty rude or are they like
Because when I first started
grumpy rude or what
when
kind
I
of rude
was
are we talking?
because when I was scanning through all the animals, any animal in the wild, w- it's gonna there are each animal is gonna have a degree of wanting to communicate with you or not, but it
Okay.
doesn't translate into snooty.
Okay.
Snooty to me will be a purebred horse who knows they're majestic and fantastic and amazing and incredible. They can run and everybody stops to say hi to them, so they can be snooty.
Okay. So when I say rude, you think like entitled snooty rude. Okay, I'm thinking like East Coast don't mess with me, like just gruff or like old guy at the retirement home that just doesn't want to talk to anybody. Like I was thinking like rude, like just
Grinchy
put
like.
on a real shirt, you smell. Ah, get out of my way. I'm just thinking like grumpy rude. You're thinking snooty rude. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of snooty rude, like I know who I am, like very California, like hello,
Okay.
as
Okay.
if.
So I think the animal that would be the perfect mix of grumpy rude and snooty rude, if you could talk to it, I'm going with pigeon.
A
A pigeon.
pigeon.
Well, because they get fed. Like they go to they're like such big flocks, they get annoying, yet people still enjoy feeding them and watching them scurry around. So you get the snooty factor of like, I don't have to hunt for food. People just come visit me, and then you get like the rude factor of just like, ah, you're annoying me. I'm gonna poop on you. You're poop on you. You're kind of irritating me. I'm trying to get to this thing. I'm gonna peck at you. Like I could see a pigeon being snooty rude and like grumpy rude all at the same time.
Interesting.
I'm going with if I were to have a conversation with a pigeon, it would just there would just be that like I'm better than everybody mixed with the same like and everybody also sucks anyway.
I always wonder when in the movies the people who create the archetypes of an animal to create an animal based movie like Zootopia. When you think of Zootopia, how
Okay.
they came up with the characteristics of the animal and their behavior and how they chose that character to be based on the stereotype of the animal. I'm always amazed at how they come up with different angles of who this animal becomes based on what they look like. You know, it's just like when you watch Zootopia or when you watch Sing 1 or 2, how the gang, like the gorillas, the big gorillas were the thieves. Just because they're big, they're agile. And
Yeah.
it was just very, to me, those stereotypes are so interesting and peculiar how they choose that animal to talk. Like you're choosing the pigeon, snooty behavior. And I bet you that's what they went through. Like, ooh, who's the snootiest animal? Who's the kindest animal? It's just fascinating.
I actually had the answer to this, but I don't want to ruin it for you to share. I don't want you to stay in your little bubble if you want to, but I actually do have the answer to that question.
How can you have an answer to that question?
Because I actually have the answer to the question.
Like who researched who the snootiest animal is?
No. See, you're doing it in reverse. What happens is
What had happened?
what had happened, that's Maria's favorite phrase. We debate this all the time. Is it what happened was or what had happened? This is proper English versus or street English versus we don't know who's right, so it's an ongoing debate. Um, so basically, you write the script like you would write any other script, and in order to write a script, you need certain characters. You need
Yes.
so you have the interaction you need. So when you're writing a script, you're writing it. Okay, I need a thief. I need a smart aleck. I need somebody that's not too. I need the surprising character that's going to take a turn. So you write the script, and you know that these are the things that you need, and then you just plug in the animal that you think kind of fits it. So you're not doing it the way you're saying. You're not picking the animal and then forming it. You're writing the script and then you're almost plugging the animal in afterwards.
Hmm.
And then you draw the animal based on which one you picked for it.
Okay.
So basically, if you need a thief, sometimes you go against type and you think it would be interesting to pick the animal least likely to be a good thief if it's a comedy. So you would pick the giraffe because you would go against type if it's a comedy, versus if it's like a drama or something serious, yeah, you would pick the monkey because it's the most agile and it's easy to steal stuff. And then based on the personality you wrote for it, then you would draw it. So you kind of draw it with the attributes that characteristic would need within that animal. So you basically it's the exact opposite creation factor.
It's so
Is
fascinating that concept of creation of how you write the script and then choose the animal. Like that's just too fascinating for me. And then to have the
yeah.
drawing
So when you write a script,
represent.
yeah, when you write a script, you storyboard. For everybody that doesn't know, I used to act a little bit and work in Hollywood, and I was a film major and stuff. So this isn't me just talking off the top of my head. Actually, this is something I know. But when you write a script, you storyboard usually. So you've got 3x5 cards, and so
Mm.
you're creating the elements that you need for the story. So when you're writing the script, you've already figured out what the animal is, but during the storyboarding, you're like, well, we need a thief, we need this, we need that. And then once you get the storyboard of the general structure of the script down, then you would probably start plugging the animals in at that point. And then that way, when you're writing the script, you know you're writing a monkey that's saying this line because you would write that slightly differently if a monkey's saying it versus if a giraffe is saying it, or that inside joke is going to be a neck or a height joke for a giraffe. But so you would kind of storyboard the skeleton, and then you'd plug in the animals, and then you would write the script, and then based on the script, you would have the artist come in and create that would fit. Like, okay, he needs to have really agile hands, or we got a lot of jokes about him having two thumbs, or so, and you just go from there.
I love that. I think that's easier than the way I was thinking it.
It is because it's very ethereal. If you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to pick a random animal and I'm going to give them random attributes, but then I need to pick another random animal, but they have to interact. Which so how's that? Yeah, there would just be too many open-ended pieces to try to make that work.
Yep.
That'd be more of like a just an improv comedy thing where you're just like, okay, you're a monkey who likes to steal stuff. You're a giraffe who's awkwardly not agile. Go. And just do the whose line is it anyway kind of bit with it, which
I
could
used
be
to
fun.
love that show. Used to love it because I am not that creative. Like I cannot come up with stuff like that, but I can laugh.
Well, but there's rules. If you ever do comedy improv, there's actually rules to how that stuff goes. It's the yes and principle where you never disagree with somebody because then you put a wall and there's nowhere for them to go. So you always need to keep
Exactly.
adding. So once you kind of everybody that's playing the game understands the rules, you're usually able to give the other person enough that they can. You still need to be super creative, but you're not hampering their ability. If somebody does something and then you don't do yes and you just block it, then it's like, oh, he's got to start from scratch almost. Uh,
Yeah. Not only that, but that actually generates
it's not fun. It's
antagonizing feelings. So no,
exactly.
what you want is people to be like, what are you gonna come up with next? Here is what
Mhm.
I'm giving you. Let's see what you can do with that soup. Let's see what you can do with these
Yeah.
ingredients,
And
basically.
then when you build, it makes it more fun because okay, the monkey could steal stuff, and but he's got a heart of gold. But then he had this bad thing happen in his past, and so you're developing this thing opposed to okay, I'm jumping from this to that. Oh, he stopped that thread. I'm going to this thing. So, yeah, there's. It doesn't look like it if it's done right, but there are definitely rules that you're kind of supposed to follow when you're doing stuff like that.
Love it.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. We hit an hour. I think that's pretty good. We had a bunch of fun facts that we didn't get a chance to spit out here. I'm just going to spit out a few fun facts for the heck of it. Oh, we talked about this in a past video. Some dogs can actually smell dead bodies underwater.
Wow.
We were talking about the snapping turtle. We had
Yes.
the video with the turtle climbing the fence. I think it was Animal Abilities.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
we were saying how they actually use them as cadaver turtles because they're carrions. They eat dead animals, so they're able to actually find dead bodies within the water because that's
Amazing.
essentially hunting for food. But there are dogs that can actually smell them that deep underwater. Make sure you're adding water to your senior dog's food so they can stay hydrated, everybody. That is very, very important.
Yes.
Um, if you want to discourage fleas around your dog, wash their dog house with a saltwater mix.
Okay.
Uh, Fleas do not like salt. So if when you're washing your dog houses and stuff, you're doing it with salt water, that will help keep the
Interesting.
fleas away because they are not big fans.
And also because the crystals, if you use a lot of salt water, eventually once the water dries, then it forms a little bit of those crystals and they're very sharp for them.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. Guys, there's a lot more fun stuff like that. We usually do, we started doing the animal fact videos that hopefully everybody is enjoying because you guys asked for it. So that's usually where we get into the more like exact fact stuff. The podcasts are more us just chit chatting, having fun, showing videos, and getting into who knows what conversation. But if you like fun facts and hacks and stuff like that, guys, go check out the specific animal facts videos. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining.